Hey YouTube, I'm going to introduce you to a Mustang that I have not introduced you to before. This is Juice. She is a Mustang that was in the holding pens back in the beginning of September when the Fort Worth Mustang Challenge was going on, and I decided I really wanted her. So despite dropping out of Magic 2 or 3 weeks before pickup, I signed back up just so I could get her. I happened to be last in the draw order because I was last to sign up, and somehow she made it to my pick. So I got her, and of course, if you've been on my channel for a while, you'll know who she reminds me of. She's the only horse that I really wanted from the bunch. I didn't even really care about competing with her. I just wanted to get my hands on her and feel her and get her started. If we competed, that would be really cool and awesome as well, but not the biggest problem if we didn't. Unfortunately, I wasn't going to be able to start training her for a few more weeks. I was still on the road traveling for clinics, so Elisa Wallace is in the town right next to me, so luckily she brought her home. She was already heading that way with her girl, and I caught up and started working with my horse probably about September, I don't know, like the last week of September or so. So this is my second interaction with her. My first one was the day prior in the round pen, and she just wanted to keep her head down. She was very avoidant until I started to reward her. Anytime she'd bring her head up, there's what she would do. She'd keep the head low and on the ground, but for even longer periods. Like, she would just keep it down there. It took a while to get her to keep the nose up so she would at least engage. She's not one that would reach out or sniff or anything, so you'll notice a couple times here where when she does look over at me, I really back up and reward, and I look away because I want her to start engaging. That's the first step to this, is just teaching her to engage with me. In this video, you're not really gonna see too much of like the training sessions. I'm just gonna talk about her in general because I'm really excited about her future. We aren't doing the competition, by the way. She already has a home somewhere, which I will talk about later on. But getting her to open up was really difficult. I thought she was going to be similar to Roulette, and obviously that's naive of me. Just because they look alike doesn't mean anything. But getting her to engage was extremely difficult. She wanted to be shut down. She tried really hard for me all the time, but she really struggled with engaging. You'll see the method I'm using here is just inching down that stick closer and closer to her until eventually I get touch. And the first place I worked on touch with her was her face. Usually it's their face or their neck, and for her the face was a little bit more confident. So every time I retreat, I would slide my hand probably like 2 or 3 more inches down and then go back up to her. So I really like that engagement right there. I want to really reward that, so I waited for even longer than normal. It was really rewarding with this one to get those first few touches. Not because it took all that long. I mean, this is really the second time I've even been in the pen with her. The first time it was 10 minutes, and it basically was just breaking down that bubble. I probably got within 10 feet of her and then called it good. And to be able to touch her like this on the second day is just the biggest reward that you could get from a wild horse. And more recently, I've been trying to not necessarily think more like a horse per se, but be more understanding. Like, she has not interacted with humans before. The short interactions have been high energy and a lot going on, and you know, for her to be able to come around like this on the second day of being there, and mind you, she sat in this pen for probably like 3 weeks before I came back. That was one of our first haltering attempts. I'm doing this little method that I call fishing. I don't know if I've shared it on this channel before, but I do have some future videos that'll have it. But basically you have the rope or the halter rope on the end of the carriage whip, and you're working on desensitizing them to it and draping it over, and you kind of halter them without haltering them, and then you bring your body closer to do the final steps. All of these sessions with her are broken up. It's not like I was working her for like 3 or 4 hours straight. They're probably, if I remember correctly, between like 15 to 30-minute sessions broken down.
Good girl.
So leading with her, we had a lot of sticky feet. She was not the best to go forward. She would kind of just lock and plant and be a block of cement. So going side to side with her was really essential. Anytime she did come forward, you'd see there'd be instant release in that rope because it'd be her finding that release on her own. When she is pulling back like that, I have to go with her a little bit and have some give in it. Otherwise, if it's just that steady pressure, she can keep pulling against it. So if I give a little, I can come back with a more firm pull, which is going to get her to respond better. Good. You can see that little release in there for a moment. We have a lot of that head going around. Anytime she was straight to me, like right there when she was passing through, there was a release. I just changed it because the lighting wasn't all that great. But I just want her to look at me. If she takes a step towards me, that's even better, but I don't want her to feel like she has to take a bunch of forward steps on this first day. Breaking up the sessions between learning how to give the pressure and still working that on that approach and petting her was really important. And I really didn't film all that many sessions with her. Here's some desensitizing. I kind of just filmed with my camera those first like 2 or 3, just like snippets from them. And the rest is going to be little progress and good points we made along the way. I did lose 2 videos though. I'm trying to find, hopefully I can put them in here at some point, but she did learn how to side pass up to the block, side pass on the ground. She was really good backing up on the ground. She picked up all 4 feet. I have one clip of her starting to learn how to pick up her hind feet. Going through gates was a big problem for her. She would get really nervous and stuck, so we had to work on a lot of sending. She was able to walk all the way over the tarp at the end. This is an introduction to it, probably on day like 3 or 4. She loved water, was perfect for baths. She's such a cute mover. Wearing the surcingle. She was tacked up English at one point and Western. Being in a stall was not her favorite. Ponying off of Lynx. A little resistant there. That was earlier on. There we go. She wore the pillows. And she was never really nervous about like the pillows or the surcingle leaving the pen for the first time. She's pretty relaxed out there actually with kind of the trees and the grass. She was more chill than she is in her pen. Picking up a hind foot. This is Michaela. She was one of the boot camp interns. They were learning how to do feet. Working on their techniques. I was trying to get her to take a treat of hay and she just kind of held it in her mouth. What I was saying about her movement, she would always be fairly like, I don't want to say snorting, but breathing loud while she was lunging. Not in a way where something was physically wrong with her, just in a nervous way. She's just tense. She started to relax at the end though. I have a really cool clip that I love. Wearing Western tack. She moved up to the normal barn and lived in a normal paddock. There she is waiting to do something that day, working on trailer loading. I always work on it the first few times with these guys if it's early on in their sessions, still backed up to a pen where if they did get nervous on it, they're not going to shoot out, because the last time she came off of a trailer would have been when she was unloaded, and she, I'm sure, just leapt off and ran out. that's how they're used to it. So I want to make sure that I'm prepared for that. Of course, she didn't do anything. She just walked down like a calm girl. This is my favorite clip. This was, I think, the last day or the day before the last that I had her. Finding that scratchy, itchy spot on her was probably the most rewarding thing I could have asked out of her. She also learned how to hobble, but she was so much fun to have.
Good job, Juice.
I brought her to her new home in Maryland. I'll maybe share an update on her in the future, but hopefully you guys enjoyed getting to see a little bit of Juice. I don't have too much footage on her, but I did want to share her. She is a very special horse. I found the footage of her picking up her feet and working on her side pass, but like I said, hopefully I'll have an update video of her in the future. If not, I know on Facebook, KT's Natural Performance Horses, I do believe, is the page name. That's Caitlin. She is the one who owns her, who I delivered her to the beginning of this month. But all the updates so far have been fantastic. Juice is doing really awesome.